Hey there, it's Greg from McDonald Realty in beautiful Surrey, BC. Now, recently I read an article about a tenant who was awarded $22,000 from their landlord for improperly trying to evict them from their home. So all this started when a homeowner decided to sell their home that was tenant occupied. And a buyer came along and decided, I want to buy this home and live there, and I want vacant possession. So they write an offer to the seller. The buyer says, please give notice to the tenants to vacate at the appropriate time, as I'm going to be moving in as a homeowner. This is all perfectly legal as long as you verify the appropriate tenancy details, making sure that it's a month-to-month tenancy or when the lease ends, right? There's some specific details you need to make sure. So here's where things get interesting. After the home buyer removed the conditions and made it a firm purchase, they changed their mind apparently. They decided at some point that they weren't going to move in. It wasn't working out with their spouse. The spouse, it sounds like there was a separation. She couldn't afford it, so she had to rent it out. You can't just say, I changed my mind, circumstances have changed, and I'm just going to rent it out once I get possession. Because that looks highly suspicious to everybody, right? To the tenant who just left, to the residential tenancy branch. They don't like to see that. The RTB, the residential tenancy branch, have a very high bar of what is going to initiate getting somebody evicted from their home. Things didn't work out. I changed my mind. I know I asked them to leave, but I'm not moving in, so we're just going to get someone else to move in. That's not a high enough bar. And saying that you're going through a divorce and you couldn't carry two properties or you couldn't manage because of the work, all of these kinds of reasons are really excuses and not nearly enough to get to the threshold that the RTB is looking to make sure that things are done properly and ethically. As a result, this home buyer had to pay 1 year's worth of rent to this tenant who astutely made sure to look into that property after it sold and found out that it was back on the rental market, and that's when they obviously took it to the residential tenancy branch with a claim. If you are a home buyer and you are looking at buying a tenant-occupied property, there are a series of steps you need to do to make sure you follow the proper rules if you want vacant possession of a home. The first being, obviously, when you see a home that you like that's tenant occupied, you should always ask for a hard copy, a paper copy or electronic copy of the tenancy agreement. You want to see what that tenant has agreed to with the home seller. Is it a month-to-month agreement? Is it a year-long lease? When does that year-long lease expire? How much is the rent exactly? Is there any security deposit, pet deposit? What's included in the rent? All of these items are written out on a tenancy agreement. We like to see a hard copy agreement in place for the most secure understanding between a seller and a tenant. If you go along and you actually want to buy that home, you write an offer, you have to advise the seller that you're looking for vacant possession, and that if you do purchase the home and remove any subject conditions that you might have, that the home buyer is going to provide a standardized letter that says they intend to move into that home, and they give that letter to the seller, who then has to provide notice to the tenant that they will have to be out of the home by the appropriate date. When you do that, you better be moving in for yourself, right? If you try to just get somebody out for the benefit of maybe raising rent at current market rates and hoping that the tenant doesn't find out, you're playing a very, very risky game Tenants are very astute. They know their rights. They know that they should be checking on properties after they've been moved out to see if it's re-rented. So it's not a smart move by anybody looking to try to find a way to evict a tenant. It can make news. It's just a bad scene all around. If you're looking to buy a property and have current market rates, you should be looking at vacant properties or finding a tenant who's recently moved in and is paying current market rates. So that's some food for thought to make sure you're doing things the right way when you're buying a tenant-occupied property, especially if you're looking at living in there. You definitely want to make sure that you're following the rules the right way. Hey, and if you like this information, be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're trying to pump out videos once a week so you stay fully informed and engaged in real estate here in the Fraser Valley. I'm Greg. Thanks for watching.